Good morning, dear students, invited speakers, faculty, guests, and global audience. I'm delighted to welcome you all to the 2019 edition of the Lund Architecture Symposium. The Lund Architecture Symposium is an annual event organized by the Department of Architecture and the Built Environment at Lund University here in Sweden. The purpose is to identify contemporary tendencies within architecture discourse and to make these tendencies accessible for students and faculty at the department. Before we jumpstart this exciting day of lectures and discussions, I have some general information. First, I would like to thank our sponsors that made this event possible. And they are Architect Sweden, or Sveriges Arkitekter, the Network Malmö Architects, Nätverket Malmös Arkitekter, Architects Sweden Scania, Sveriges Arkitekter Skåne, and the City of Lund, Lunds kommun. Thank you. I am also obliged to inform you that this event is being photographed and filmed and live streamed for archival and educational purposes, and that we do offer photo-free zones in order to respect the integrity of everyone. The photo-free zones are located at the corners of the seating areas. I'm also obliged to inform you about the egress routes. They are in these directions, in that direction, and in that direction. Finally, I'd also like to mention a few side activities that will be going on here today. We have a book table where books are being released, and Movium is offering free issues of the journal Stad. We also have exciting exhibitions in the foyer for the students to check out in the breaks here. But now to the actual event of the day. The 2019 edition of Lund Architecture Symposium addresses the politics of architecture. References to politics are currently proliferating within architecture discourse. Today, we experience the urgency of several crises, from environmental and humanitarian crises to military conflicts, uncertainties in automated labor markets, and the rapid increase in socioeconomic inequalities. And these crises have propelled an increased interest in the politics of architecture. This tendency is today evident in global discourse through numerous articles and book publications where political concerns for architecture and urbanism are being rendered much more explicitly. It is also evident through the pervasive interest in the city that we do experience today, where actors from multiple fields profit from concepts such of sustainability and smartness by transferring the authority of design from the architecture disciplines. If we focus on the Swedish context, then the political references in architecture are becoming even more explicit. In May 2018, the Swedish Parliament enacted a new architecture policy dubbed the Policy for Design Living Environments, or Politik för gestaltad livsmiljö. This policy was drafted by Christer Larsson, an adjunct professor here at the department. Its aim is to promote sustainability and quality by increasing architecture's engagement with the city. Even if it's too early to evaluate what impact the policy actually have had on the design of buildings and cities, it may be fair to argue that it actually has catalyzed attention to architecture in Swedish media and debate. It has also led to the inauguration of the nation's first chief government architect, a position that we have seen in the Netherlands for a long time in a slightly different version that we have in Sweden today. However, the Swedish format is kind of being transferred now or exported to the British government. But despite this proliferation of global and national attention, the relationship between architecture and politics remain unclear. What role can or should policies have in the generative aspects of design, for example? And how can we think about and respond to the global challenges beyond traditional politics? The institutionalization of architecture in politics, which we have seen in Sweden and in other European countries, may catalyze new possibilities for the profession and the discipline. But it may also increase the focus on nationwide agendas that circumvent the complexities in systems and networks that boost global exchange of knowledge and experiences. And while political strategies in architecture may usher new momentum by conceiving architectural design as an efficient tool in the production of change, they may also provide new arenas for mediocrity to influence decision-making and thus hamper accurate knowledge and visionary prospects. Indeed, the politicization of architecture is certainly not trouble-free and needs rigorous thinking and debate. So where could be a better place to do this than here at the School of Architecture in Lund? This year we have announced the politics of architecture as a subject matter of examination, knowing very well that it will be completely impossible to reach a consensus around this topic. I mean, the topic is so broad, so general, so pervasive, that it seems almost impossible to even start grasping where to be thinking about something to agree upon. But that is exactly why we have framed this topic for debate. Architecture and politics are two territories of apprehensive connection. We can't ignore that politics always have had a role in architecture. I mean, Aristotle's politics posed multiple questions that remain highly relevant for architecture still today. The political restructurings in the Middle Ages transformed numerous relationships between architecture and the city. And the political turmoil in the 1920s Russia catalyzed some of the most radical architectures we saw during the 20th century. But we also must realize that protagonists always had different opinions on how the discipline should incorporate political concepts. Lewis Woods, for example, he argues that, quote, architecture is a political act, end of quote. While Peter Cook says that he was, quote, always rather cynical politically, end of quote. The opinions and arguments among prolific figures within the discipline are indeed not very comprehensive, which suggests multiple ways to render and express intersections and synergies between architecture and politics. Drawing on these dynamics, today's symposium will certainly not strive towards a consensus. The prime objective is rather to activate a discussion about potential intersections and overlaps between architecture and politics, about opportunities and risks emanating from the aggregate of politics within architecture. Adhering to a tradition of agonistic pluralism, we hope that today's symposium will serve as a catalyst for rigorous debate and knowledge sharing. By acknowledging the multiple quests for interpretation that remain implicit in the subject matter, we hope to start to assemble an intellectual framework for our students and our faculties and our professionals in the industry to use when critically thinking about and referring to relationships between architecture and politics. So, to assist us in this endeavor, we have an international setting of highly skilled architects, agents of professional and academic excellence, spanning the geography from Los Angeles in the American West to Paris, Seville, Stockholm in the European Union, and to Beirut and Bisahu in the heart of the Middle East. While they all work with architectural concepts and in specific contexts that engage the subject matter of today's symposium, they are all focusing on different aspects of the political in architecture. This diverse setting of prominent actors is not a coincidence, but rather a strategy that we have used to propel a multifaceted and rich set of references. I will not present our guests, but rather pass that role to our moderator of the day, my colleague Jesper Magnusson, senior lecturer at the Department of Architecture and the Built Environment. Jesper will serve as our guide through this day by introducing our guests and moderating the panels. So, with this introduction, I wish you all an inspiring day. Thank you.